before the noise of the world reaches you, before words, screens, expectations, and inner pressure begin to pile up. There is a quiet place inside you that already knows how to rest. And if you pause here for just a moment, you may feel your shoulders soften, your breath deepen, and a sense of safety return. Because silence is not empty. It is full of permission. And in that permission, your nervous system remembers. It does not have to be on guard. Silence often feels unfamiliar in a busy life. Yet it is one of the most natural ways the mind and body reset. And many gentle mental wellness educators, including the calming perspectives often shared by Dr. Zenrich, remind us that silence is not about withdrawing from life, but about reconnecting with ourselves beneath the constant stimulation. Stress builds when the mind is always processing, responding, planning, and reacting. And silence gives the brain a break from interpretation, allowing it to settle into a more balanced rhythm. When external noise quiets, internal awareness increases. And this awareness helps you notice how you are actually feeling, not how you think you should feel. Silence offers space for emotions to surface without judgment, and this is essential for emotional balance, because unacknowledged feelings often turn into tension later. In moments of quiet, the body can release stored stress in subtle ways, through slower breathing, softer muscles, and a steadier heartbeat, all without effort. This is why even short periods of silence can feel surprisingly restorative. Anxiety regulation becomes gentler when silence is introduced intentionally, because the mind is no longer being pulled in multiple directions at once. Instead of adding another task or technique, silence removes excess, creating room for clarity and calm. Dr. Zenrich often explains that the nervous system responds not only to what we do, but to what we allow ourselves to stop doing. And silence is one of the most supportive pauses we can offer ourselves. Silence also helps reduce stress by lowering the sense of urgency that constant noise can create. When notifications, conversations, and background sounds fade, the body receives a signal that it is safe to slow down. This signal can reduce the production of stress responses and support emotional regulation throughout the day. Silence does not require isolation or retreat. It can be found in simple moments, such as sitting quietly before the day begins, turning off unnecessary sound while eating, or taking a few minutes to breathe without distraction. These small pockets of quiet can act as anchors, grounding you when life feels overwhelming. Over time, your system learns that silence is not something to fear, but something to trust. Many people notice that sleep improves when silence is welcomed more often, because a quieter day supports a quieter mind at night. Better sleep habits are not only about bedtime routines, but about how much mental noise we carry into the evening. When the day includes moments of silence, the mind has fewer unfinished conversations to replay at night. Silence also encourages self-compassion, because in quiet moments you are not performing or meeting expectations. You are simply being, and this can soften harsh self-talk. Instead of pushing yourself to feel better, silence allows feelings to move naturally, which often leads to relief. If at any time silence feels uncomfortable or brings up difficult emotions, it is important to approach that experience gently and to remember that support from a qualified mental health professional is always available if stress or anxiety feels too heavy to manage alone. Silence is not meant to replace connection, but to deepen it, starting with the connection you have with yourself. As you begin to understand silence as a supportive presence rather than an absence, you may find that your days feel less rushed, your reactions less intense, and your inner world more spacious and steady. And in this spaciousness, the benefits of silence continue to unfold gently, influencing how you move through your day and how you respond to stress when it arises. Silence gives your mind time to process experiences fully, rather than stacking one demand on top of another. And this processing helps prevent emotional overload. When you allow quiet moments between activities, your nervous system has a chance to reset, making it easier to stay grounded even when challenges appear. Anxiety often feeds on constant input, so reducing stimulation through silence can naturally lower anxious energy without forcing calm. Dr. Zenrich often highlights that silence works not because it changes who you are, but because it allows you to return to who you already are beneath the noise. In silence, thoughts slow down, and when thoughts slow down, emotions feel less overwhelming. This makes it easier to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Silence also supports emotional balance by helping you recognize patterns in your feelings, noticing what drains you and what restores you. Information that is often missed in busy environments. By becoming familiar with your internal landscape, you build trust in your ability to navigate stress. Silence can be especially helpful during transitions, such as moving from work to home or from activity to rest, because it creates a buffer that prevents stress from carrying over. A few minutes of quiet breathing or stillness can signal to your body that one chapter is closing and another is beginning. This transition support is important for better sleep habits, as the mind needs time to shift into rest mode. Silence before bed, even brief, can help release the mental chatter accumulated during the day, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Emotional regulation improves when silence is treated as a regular practice rather than a rare escape. You do not need hours of quiet to benefit. Only consistency and intention. Even moments of silence while walking, stretching, or resting can reinforce a sense of calm. Silence also strengthens self-awareness, allowing you to notice early signs of stress and address them before they escalate. This proactive awareness is a key part of gentle stress management. When silence becomes familiar, it can feel comforting rather than awkward, like a trusted space you can return to whenever needed. Silence also supports compassion, because when you are less overwhelmed internally, you have more patience and understanding for others. This relational benefit further reduces stress, creating a positive feedback loop between inner calm and external interactions. Dr. Zenrich often reminds us that silence is not about shutting down communication, but about making room for more meaningful connection. In quiet moments, you may discover insights, creative ideas, or emotional clarity that noise often obscures. These discoveries can increase confidence and self-trust, further supporting emotional balance. If you ever noticed that silence brings up discomfort or restlessness, it can be helpful to remind yourself that this is a normal response in a noisy world, and that discomfort often softens with gentle exposure. Again, if anxiety or de-stress becomes intense or persistent, seeking guidance from a qualified mental health professional is a supportive and responsible choice. Silence is a tool, not a test, and it should always be approached with kindness and flexibility. As you continue to integrate silence into your life, you may notice subtle but meaningful changes in how you feel, how you sleep, and how you relate to stress. And these changes, too gently, can have a lasting impact on your overall sense of well-being, reinforcing the idea that calm does not need to be forced. It can be invited. Silence teaches the nervous system that it is safe to slow down, and this lesson becomes easier to access over time. When stress arises, your body may remember the feeling of quiet and return to it more quickly. This ability to recover is a sign of growing emotional resilience. Silence also supports better decision-making, because a calmer mind can see options more clearly and respond with intention rather than urgency. Over time, this reduces the accumulation of stress that often comes from feeling constantly behind or overwhelmed. Silence encourages a kinder relationship with yourself, allowing you to notice your needs without judgment and to respond with care. This self-responsiveness is foundational for emotional balance. Better sleep habits often follow naturally, as a quieter mind transitions more easily into rest. By reducing mental noise throughout the day, silence helps create a smoother path to nighttime relaxation. Dr. Zenrich often speaks about silence as a form of emotional hygiene, something that keeps the inner environment clean and supportive, much like rest does for the body. Silence does not require special conditions. It simply asks for willingness to pause. As you continue to explore silence, you may find that it becomes a source of strength rather than avoidance, a place where you can reconnect with yourself and restore balance. Silence can coexist with a full, engaged life, offering moments of renewal that make engagement more sustainable. If stress or anxiety ever feels overwhelming, it is important to remember that silence is one support among many, and that reaching out to a qualified mental health professional can provide additional tools and reassurance. Your well-being matters, and you deserve support. By welcoming silence into your daily routine, you are choosing a gentler way to live, one that honors your limits and your capacity for calm. Silence is always available to you, waiting quietly in the spaces between moments, offering rest, clarity, and reassurance. When you allow silence to become part of your life, you give your mind permission to slow down and your body permission to feel safe. These moments of quiet, repeated with kindness, can ease stress, support emotional balance, and guide you toward more restful sleep. You do not need to change everything at once, only to pause and listen. Let silence remind you that calm is not something you have to chase. It is something you can return to again and again with trust, hope, and gentle confidence.